Good morning, and you're welcome to this morning's story time at Monaghan Libraries. And today's story is called The Selfish Giant. And this story was originally written by a man called Oscar Wilde many, many years ago. But the edition that I have has been illustrated and abridged by Alexis Deacon. So hope you enjoy it. Every afternoon, as they were coming from school, the children used to go and play in the giant's garden. It was a large, lovely garden with soft green grass, and here and there over the grass stood beautiful flowers, like stars, and there were 12 peach trees that in springtime broke out into delicate blossoms of pink and pearl, and in the autumn they bore rich fruit. The birds sat in the trees, and they sang so sweetly that the children used to stop their games just so that they could listen to them. You see? But one day the giant came back. "What are you doing here?" he cried in a very rough voice, and the children ran away. "My own garden is my own garden," said the giant. "Anyone can understand that, and I will allow nobody to play in it but myself." So he built up a high wall all around it and put up the notice that said, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." He was a very selfish giant. Spring came, and all over the country there were little blossoms and little birds, but only in the garden of the selfish giant it was still winter. The birds did not care to sing in it, as there were no children, and the trees had even forgot to blossom. The only people who were pleased were the snow and the frost. "Ah, spring has forgotten this garden," they cried, "so we will live here all year round." The snow covered up the grass and the frost painted the trees silver. Then they invited the north wind to come and live with them. And he came. He roared all day about the garden and he blew the chimney pots down. "This is a delightful spot," he said. "We should invite the hail to come." And so the hail came. "Cannot understand why spring is so late in coming," said the giant, as he looked out the window at his cold white garden. "I hope there will be a change in the weather." But spring never came, nor the summer. The autumn gave gold fruit to every garden, but to the giant's garden she gave none. "He's too selfish," she said. So it was always winter there, and the north wind and the hail and the frost and the snow, they danced about through the trees. One morning, the giant was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. It was really only a little bird singing outside, but it had been so long since he had heard a bird singing that he thought it was the most beautiful music in the world. Then the hail stopped dancing over his head, and the north wind ceased roaring, and a delicious smell came floating through the window. "I believe spring has come at last," said the giant, and he jumped out of the bed and looked out. And what did he see? He saw a most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall, the children had crept in, and they were sitting in the branches of the trees. And in every tree that he could see there was a child, and the trees were so glad to have the children back again that they covered themselves with blossoms, and they were waving their trees gently above the children's heads. But only in one corner it was still winter. It was the farthest corner of the garden, and in it was standing a little boy. He was so small that he could not reach up to the branches of the tree, and he was wandering all around and crying bitterly. The poor tree was still quite covered with frost and snow, and the north wind was blowing above it. And the giant's heart melted as he looked out. "Oh, how selfish I have been," he said. "Now I know why the spring would not come here." He crept downstairs, opened the front door, and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him coming, they were so frightened that they all ran away, and the garden turned into winter again. Only the little boy did not run, for his eyes were so full of tears that he didn't see the giant coming. And the giant stole up behind him and took him in his hand, and he gently lifted him and put him up in the tree. And the tree broke at once into blossom, and the birds came and sang in it, and the little boy stretched out his 2 arms and he flung them round the giant's neck and kissed him. You see? And the other children, when they saw that the giant was not wicked any longer, came running back, and with them came the spring. "It's your garden now, little children," said the giant, as he took an axe and broke down the walls. And when the people were going to market at 12 o'clock, they found the giant playing with the garden and the children in the most beautiful garden that they had ever seen. And do you know you can find giants in a secret garden? Well, it's not that secret actually. If you go to Rossmore Park just outside Monaghan Town, you'll find lots of fabulous giants hiding about there. So I hope you get a chance to visit them, and I hope you get a chance to read The Selfish Giant yourself someday. Have a lovely day. Chat to you next week. Bye bye.